Yeah, I think it's important to look at your roots, to look back where you grew up, your childhood, who were people that inspired you. So in my case, my mother was a huge inspiration for me. She was a businesswoman. She never took no as an answer. Remember, I lived in a communist regime in Romania where everything was impossible. Was very difficult, number one, to have your own business, and being a woman was even impossible. But I think there were two very important aspects of my mother. Business savviness. Number one, she needed to survive because my father died and we needed to be able to pay our bills. And second, she loved her job. She had a little atelier on like a tailor shop. And with my father, he was making clothes for men and my mother for women. And when my father passed away, I was 12, she took over the business, and she came to me and was like, well, you need to help me because we need to keep this. This is our revenue and we need to have this working. And of course, I said to my mother, like, Mom, I'm 12 years old. Wow, I don't know anything. And she said, no, you are smart. I will teach you everything. You are so smart. We will make it happen. Both of us will make things happen. And of course, I didn't believe too much that, but if my mother constantly was so positive and encouraging, I will try something, I will be afraid, but I remember back of my head was, my mother said that I could do it. My mother said that I'm smart. My mother said that we could do the impossible. So, of course, I was afraid the first time, the second time, and I start building this confidence that, and I encourage every parent to do that with their kids. I build up this confidence that I'm able to do things that I never ever thought that I will. I was studying technical design and I went to art school, and I started doing drawing for my mother's clients, how to make their clothes. And it was probably the beginning of the introduction on the golden ratio, where my mother she never knew what golden ratio is, or the theory that Leonardo da Vinci studied the entire human body. But by measuring people every day, she used to say, well, her hips are bigger than her shoulder. We need to add certain elements like shoulder pads to create this perfect proportion. So I think that was the base of who I later on I became. I went to school. I was always curious. Remember, we didn't have computer. It was nothing to watch on TV on my time. So I used to go to library and read a lot. I was curious for so many: history, geography, math. I mean, school was incredible in Romania in the communist regime. Probably that was the best thing that came out of that regime. And I had really knowledgeable teachers, and we used to go to classes and learn because it was a pleasure to listen to them. Since I was 18, I wanted to come to America. It was like my dream, the American dream. Of course, was very difficult. We were not able to leave the country. And my husband was in 1987 was able to, he was ship captain. He defected the ship in Italy and he asked for political asylum. He came in the United States and I had to wait 3 years to come here. That period of time, he mentioned that, well, you don't speak the language, it would be better for you to go and get go to beauty school. And there are a lot of Romanian estheticians in LA that they were professor doctors in Romania. And because of the language barrier, they were estheticians. So I went to beauty school, and in 89, the end of 89, I was able to come to the United States. I still didn't believe that I will work in beauty business, but, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. So, of course, I came here. It was the biggest shock of my life because I didn't speak the language. None, zero. And it was very hard. The first 6 months, I think I cried every single day. It was quite challenging. And I realized we could not go back to Romania. And I had to get a job, and we needed to pay the bill and the bills. And I started working as an esthetician. It was not at the beginning. I didn't think that this is going to be my career for the rest of my life, but I needed to get a job. And I've seen, when I started the first year, I was doing facial and body waxing, and I was quite surprised that nobody paid attention to eyebrows. In Romania was the norm. I used to go to my esthetician, get my facial, and before I would get my facial, she would tweeze my eyebrows. And it was that moment, the aha moment, when I thought, wow, that's why I look surprised in the pictures when I lived in Romania, because my eyebrow was pencil thin and round. So it was the wrong shape. And at that time I thought, oh, let me go and revisit the theory that my teacher in art school was teaching me. And I probably didn't ever think of the human body or the eyebrows in that aspect. So what my art teacher always said, if you want to draw a portrait and you want to change an emotion, you change eyebrows, because eyebrows, it's one element one feature on our face that brings the balance and proportion if it's shaped correctly. So I started going to the library and studied the entire theory, and I tried to fix my own eyebrows. I wanted to find the perfect shape because it was too round and thin. Once I was able to do that, I could see my client tell me, wow, you look different. You look, rested. Like, so they didn't know exactly what it was, but definitely they knew that something was different. And I start telling them that is the eyebrows. And slowly I start kind of convincing my client to let me shape their eyebrows. It took time, months, days, weeks. And I wanted really to do this as a service. So I went to the owner. They didn't believe in that. And to make the story short, I rented a room in a salon in Beverly Hills, and I started doing eyebrows as well. By 94, I was so busy. It was very scary, don't get me wrong, at the beginning, because I had the job, like at least a steady job that I would have a salary. And to just a year and a half into being in Los Angeles, I decided to open my own business. Was kind of crazy. My husband thought I am crazy. All the friends and everybody that I knew thought that I'm absolutely crazy. I'm talking about 1992, when eyebrows was not a thing in United States. And I remember my mother said, I said, Mom, I want to open my own business. And she said to me, well, I know it's scary, but what do you have to lose? You could go back and get another job as an esthetician. So she was the one that always encouraged me. And this is what I did. I rented the room, a tiny little room, and I started doing the service. And by 94, I was working like 6-7 days a week, 18 hours a day. By 94, it became the best kept secret in Hollywood amongst celebrities and people, that agents, PR people, and so forth. And in 94 was an article in Vogue about the first book that Kevin O'Quan launched, Making Faces, and he was like the god of makeup at that time, an incredible, talented makeup artist that he transformed a lot of celebrity into somebody else, into characters. And he talked about how important eyebrows were. And a few pages later, it was this woman, Anastasia, that was doing eyebrows. So was an article wrote by Marina Rust. And it was really amazing. And I think that was the aha moment when it was like the ripple effect. People in the industry, magazine industry, they kind of start reading and coming to the salon to find out about this eyebrow. And 96, I was so busy. I thought I could not be here for the rest of my life. This is not my American dream. My American dream was way bigger than this. I wanted to be significant. I wanted to do something more. So I drove around Beverly Hills. I found this place, 438 North Bedford Drive. And I went to the landlord the next day, had an appointment, and spent like 2 hours to convince him to rent me the space, because he couldn't believe doing eyebrows I would be able to pay rent in Beverly Hills. So I got the space, and making a deal with him that if he's not going to be successful in 6 months, I will leave. Well, 2 weeks later, he called me because there was a line around the store, being so busy before the store will open. So it became the kind of a trend in not only LA, but I had clients all over the world, coming from Singapore, from London, from Paris. Everybody that was visiting LA will have an appointment with Anastasia. And what happened at that time, I used to shape their eyebrows, and to create the perfect shape. Let's say they were over tweezed their eyebrows, or missing some eyebrow because they had a scar. So different type of reasons. I will fill them in with mixing eyeshadow with aloe vera and Vaseline. So I created this pomade myself. And my clients used to come back 3 weeks later to get their eyebrow reshaped, and they said, well, you definitely shape my eyebrows and it looks amazing when I leave, but once I take a shower, I'm still missing some eyebrows. So I realized that I need to make some products. So I went to Italy and I started creating the Anastasia Beverly Hills products. We launched in 98, 99 in the store, the makeup. And in 2000, we launched in 20 stores in Nordstrom's. We had the service. And even today, we have the eyebrow service in Nordstrom's and the counter for the selling the products. In 2008, we start launch. 2007, we launched in Sephora, then in Ulta, Macy's, Dillard's, Nordstrom Steels, in all Nordstroms, where we have brow studios as well. And so we are in 2,500 doors in United States and 35 countries internationally. It's been a long road, but it's the best thing that I have ever done in my life.